Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. Today we're continuing our dive into the heroes of For Honor, analyzing them for their lore, historical inspirations, playstyle, design, and overall feel. Now when it comes to the heroes in For Honor, this one really needs no introduction. We all know him from his stature, his armor, his weapon, and just how overall intimidating he is. He's also one of the characters who went through some of the most unique changes in the game's history. He went from being one of the most amazing characters in the game with some of the most broken abilities, to being the worst character in the game with some of the worst capabilities, to once again becoming the absolute GOAT of For Honor. That's right, guys. It's time we finally talked about Lawbringer.
Where order has broken down, where cruelty and lawlessness rule, Lawbringers are justice. They go wherever they are needed, and they come prepared. Their armor has no equal. Its construction, a secret of their order. And they carry the most versatile weapon ever invented. The poleaxe. Pray that you do not need them. And when they arrive, pray that you have done no wrong.
Ashfeld and the Knights value one thing above all else: order. After the Cataclysm nearly tore their world apart and left them in a state of disarray and confusion, the Knights swore that they would never again fall to such lawless anarchy. So to accomplish this, Ashfeld built for itself a rigid structure of law and order, set guidelines and expectations of its people and its soldiers, and to maintain this rule of law, a special order was created: the Lawbringers. Soldiers who are not only versed in combat, but sworn to uphold the law and punish those who would break it. Where they go, they carry the highest authority of Ashfeld. They go where they are needed, and when they arrive, pray that you have committed no crime. Now, it is at this point I wish to say that everything you're about to hear is now my headcanon. This is not officially Ubisoft lore, it is all what I have added. I believe the Lawbringer's primary role isn't simply to police Ashfeld, but also to police the Knights themselves. They carry the best armor and weapons of the Knights, specifically because they have to be equipped to deal punishment to any Knight who breaks their oaths to Ashfeld, and they act as commissars to ensure the diligence, obedience, and righteousness of the Knights of Ashfeld. The reason I think this is because, they have the best armor and weapon of the Knights. They are tanks among tanks, right? These are lions among kittens. So to me, they're not just out there to fight against the enemies of Ashfeld. That is something they do. But they also have to make sure that all the other Knights play nice and do what they're supposed to do and follow the rules. At least that's the way I look at it. Of course, like I said, they'll fight any opponent of Ashfeld, but when Knights abandon their posts of honor or abandon their oaths, it is the Lawbringers who deal out the punishment. So, the question now is, who are they actually based on? Well, let's talk about their history. Now, if you want a full breakdown of the historical inspiration for Lawbringer, I would recommend going to look at my Lawbringer Hero in History video. But I will warn you, it was the very first Hero in History video I ever did, and I largely did it as a sort of dare, so it's far more comical and memey than my usual Hero in History format, with a lot of Space Marine references.
Come, no prisoners for the Emperor! Ah! Your duty is not done, brother! We have destroyed that which offended the Emperor. Victory for the righteous! The enemy wishes to fight, brothers! Let us indulge them!
However, for a quick summation, I believe the Lawbringers are heavily inspired by the Papal Guard of the Vatican, also sometimes called the Swiss Guard. Not only were they famous for their use of the halberd and poleaxe, just like Lawbringer, but they had some of the finest armor of the medieval period in their heyday, and were responsible for protecting the Holy See as well as the law and sanctity of Christendom. The Papal Guard would earn their reputation as defenders of Christianity in the year 1527, when 189 Swiss Guard were forced to hold off an army numbering over 20,000 strong. Now, they were in the end defeated. But it was reported that they fought bitterly and without ceasing, buying the Pope time to escape to safety. And though in my video I made jokes about them being Space Marines, it might be more accurate to say that the Swiss Guard were likely the inspiration for the Adeptus Custodes in Warhammer 40,000. And if you go even further, if you want to hear a kick-ass song, check out the Sabaton song The Last Stand, a song dedicated to the Swiss Guard's rearguard action, and I would say their best song. If people ask me what's your favorite Sabaton song, The Last Stand is probably it. But with all that said, that's the historical inspiration. If you want more information and more details, go check out the Here's in History video. Link will be in the description. But let's face it, guys, people don't care about the history of these characters. As much as I may like talking about it, that's not what people want to hear. People want to talk about other things, like the design. The design is half of what Lawbringer is. So, how do you design a good Lawbringer? Let's discuss it. Now, I always get asked who has the best fashion in For Honor, who's got the best drip. And honestly, Lawbringer's a really good contender for the spot. I mean, let's be honest, most of their armor looks absolutely solid with some really cool looks. The real question, though, that a lot of folks have to ask with Lawbringer's design is if you go with the cape or not. Because, honestly, that's the only real issue you face in terms of how you approach the look. I find I prefer the cape look, not just because the cape is stylish, but with the cape look, the chest armor seems a bit more fitting to the body, like more form-fitting, which isn't necessarily super historically accurate, but I mean, it's still good, and I just like the design. Also, Lawbringer has some unique weapon designs, which I think allow for some creative mixing and matching, particularly at the axe head and pike portion. But what really makes Lawbringer fun to work with is the fact the material shows really well on his armor. Changing his armor color is very easy. It can really make Lawbringer stand out if handled well. But let's face it, as strong as Lawbringer is in drip, half of him is his aura, and as a result of that, I have various Lawbringer designs that I can choose from. Let's go through them. Obviously, Richard Blackthorne. If you haven't heard his legend, listen to it. I love it, and a lot of people do. Freedombringer, the paragon of democracy and virtue. The Adeptus Custodes, because obviously. Georgios the Dragon Slayer. My Dark Angel build. And me. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so I did this video some time ago where everyone was telling me to try to make my own family in For Honor, like if I could make a hero based on each member of my family, and I had to do me, and people were saying I should make it Lawbringer, so this is how I did it. And those are all of my designs for Lawbringer, and as you can see, a lot of them look really good, although I will admit, the Richard Blackthorne look, I may go back and edit. I might fix that one up a little bit because, I mean, let's face it, with the Richard Blackthorne look, it looks kind of plain. I'm kind of a minimalist. I do think that sometimes less is more, and sometimes the less flair you throw on an object or flair you throw on an armor set, the better it can look. So I do think it looks good, but I don't know, let me know in the comment section if you think I should update Richard Blackthorn's look, because I think I might do that. But let's leave all that aside for now and get into the executions. Now, of course, if you want to hear my full thoughts on Lawbringer's executions, and I've got a lot to say about his executions, go check out my Executions Graded series and you can see everything I have to say about that. But for this video, I will take a look at my favorite and my least favorite. For my favorite Lawbringer execution, I have to go with Vis Morales. Vis Morales, I feel like, is just the best Lawbringer execution, not because it's the most awesome to watch, not because it's the most creative, but because it uses every piece of the weapon for the kill. It uses the pike at the beginning to slash twice across the face, it then uses the axe to strike into the throat, and then use the pommel at the bottom to knock them to the ground. It's quick, it's efficient, and it just feels so awesome. Anytime I make a new Lawbringer build, odds are pretty good that I'm going to be adding this execution to his repertoire. It's just really, really cool to watch, and I just can't stop singing its praise. It's that awesome. If you don't have Vis Morales, it is well worth getting. But that does lead into my least favorite. My least favorite execution is Oh Come On. Now, in my Executions Graded series, this execution broke new ground by being the first execution I gave a 0 to, because it is not an execution, it is one of the most lazy, half-assed, annoying executions I've ever seen. Now, before we go any further into this, I do want to make it clear, yes, I know, it's a joke, it's meant to be funny, ha 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 ha, but I don't even think it's funny. It doesn't fit, and I can point out why. Consider this. How is this a Lawbringer unique execution? Couldn't you just make this a universal meme execution of everyone about to kill or punch the enemy, then they fall to the ground, they go, "Aw, man, come on, you died before I could kill you." What makes this unique to Lawbringer? The fact that he poked him with the halberd after they fell? You could do that with anyone by having them kick the body. This doesn't feel like a Lawbringer specific execution. It feels like something they said, "Ah, shoot, we need a good one for Lawbringer, but we can't come up with anything. Let's just make a non-execution." Literally, it's just Lawbringer raising his axe like he's gonna do something cool. The enemy falls to the ground dead, and they go, "Oh man, that stinks. Are you dead? Oh, now I'm upset." I find it annoying. I'm not a fan of it. I don't even laugh at it. I think, damn, what's the point of this? Now, some people have said, "Oh, but it's a quick execution, man, because as soon as they hit the ground, they're dead. The rest is just your animation." Yeah, okay, it's quick. I'll give it that. It is quick. Would be awesome if he actually killed the bitch, but he didn't. God, sorry, this execution really pisses me off. And all the people who say that I don't know what I'm talking about, bruh, it's an awful execution because it's not even an execution, okay? All right, but that is all I have to say about the design and build for Lawbringer. But, like I said, guys, the design is only half of what Lawbringer is. You really need to go into the other half. The fighting style, the moveset, the playstyle. How do you play Lawbringer? Well, guys, gonna be totally real with you. Lawbringer has evolved throughout his time with For Honor, going from the most impossible to beat hero with some of the most broken abilities into a weak-ass, very pathetic hero despite how awesome he looked, and then right back into the top tier again. But let's go into how he plays. This is the moveset. So like I said, guys, Lawbringer has been evolving. He's a character that's changed a lot since he first released. When he first released, he was an absolute beast. He was a monster. So much so that, let me give you an example of how horrifying he was. He could get a free bash off of a block. Yes, I said block, not parry, block. He could block an attack and get a free bash off of it, canceling anything you tried to do. He was one of the safest characters to play, but he was also incredibly boring, which meant that a lot of people didn't want to play him. However, the devs knew that they had to fix it, so they nerfed Lawbringer into the ground, and for many years, he was just a joke of a character. No one liked playing him, no one was good at playing as him, and everyone kind of laughed when they fought against him. Only the beasts of For Honor, the true reactionary masters who could do really good parries, were any good at Lawbringer. And if your name was John DeLiner, of course, you were a god at Lawbringer. But finally, Lawbringer got a buff. After many, many years of begging and pleading, For Honor buffed Lawbringer, and now he's one of the GOATs, if maybe a little boring to fight against, but I get ahead of myself. Lawbringer is a very fascinating character, and he's got a lot to his kit, so follow along with me. I'll be as concise as I can. Alright, Lawbringer has a 3-hit combination. He can do any combination of light and heavy he likes, as long as it's not 3 lights in a row. He can do 1 light, 2 light, but he can't do 3 lights. He can throw a light, heavy, heavy, a light, heavy, a heavy, heavy, light. Any of those combinations are fine. He just cannot do 3 lights in a row, so don't even bother trying it. Now, you probably noticed that there were some interesting properties to those. For example, the lights are enhanced. Even if my brother blocks them, I can still follow through with my attack. So don't be afraid of having your combination canceled. Further, the second heavy has hyper armor, which is very useful because it means that you can trade blows. It also means that you can bait out smarter players. Smart players will often assume that you're just going to follow through with that second attack because you know you can make the trade, so they'll parry your second heavy or deflect it or anything of that notion. What you can do instead is start it, but then cancel and go into a guard break. That's a smart way to play it. And then, of course, the third heavy is unblockable. The popular Ad Mortem Inumicus attack, which does a brilliant 28 damage whichever direction you throw it, a really, really strong attack. And of course, you can also cancel it to get your guard break, or just hard cancel it and try to bait a dodge attack or a parry or anything like that. So there are lots of ways you can use Lawbringer's mix-ups. Lawbringer also has a zone. The zone looks like that, and it can start as a start to a combo. So you can throw a zone, and then go into your heavy, or throw your zone, and go into your light. So zones can be useful for starting up attacks. The problem is the zone is very slow and very easy to see coming, so it's not a good idea to start with it. However, Lawbringer has strength in the parries. Lawbringer is a parry punishing hero, so he's all about punishing your parries. So if my brother will throw a heavy attack, you can follow up with a free light, which counts as the startup of your combo. So, bro, do it again. Light. Notice how my next heavy after doing that light is now unblockable. That's because the parry itself counts as the first move of the combo. The follow-up light, which is guaranteed, counts as the second. And then the third, well, it's unblockable. However, let's say that you're surrounded. You have something else. Throw it. You can throw a zone, which is not only unblockable and does 16 damage, but gives you hyper armor, so you cannot be interrupted. Now, I don't recommend this all the time. I usually only recommend this when you are being surrounded or having pressure put on you, just because it doesn't, kind of like what we talked about with Shugoki, and Chaos Gorgon did point out to me that there are situational instances where that won't work, but it is good to know that you do have that zone opportunity. Could you do it one more time for me, bro? Having that is very useful, and like all zones, it can start your combo. So keep that in mind when you're deciding what you want to do. Now, there are a few other things that you need to know with Lawbringer. Lawbringer, out of contact, out of lock-on, has a charging impale attack, which can both wall splat or ledge. It only does 3 damage, but if landed properly, it can be very useful. So keep that in mind. You also have another way to get access to it. Bro, if you would mind doing a dodge attack. Oh, sorry. Do it again. You can do it off of a light or dodge attack parry as long as you have your guard to the side and you hit the heavy button. Then you can charge forward and move them. That is another option you have. But of course, I don't normally do that unless I'm near a wall or a ledge. The best thing to do when you parry one of those, do it again, bro, is do your top attack heavy, which grants you a free light. So do it again, bro. And then that gets you into a really good combination. So that is always a good option to do. Now, let's talk about some other stuff with Lawbringer. No, I'm not done. Did you think I was done? Lawbringer, of course, has his bash. Lawbringer can get access to the bash in a few ways. The first way is a dodge forward bash. The second is a dodge the side bash. And another way is off of any attack. No, literally. Whether it's a light or a heavy, you can do a bash off of it. And it can be any attack in the combo. So I could go light, heavy, bash, light, heavy, bash. Yes, even if it concludes your combo, even if you throw that last unblockable, you can still throw a bash in and keep the combo going as long as you have the stamina to throw it. So light, bash, heavy, heavy, bash, light, heavy, bash, and I can just keep this going. So players who go up against a Lawbringer always have to be prepared. No matter what attack it is, they have to be prepared. Uh-oh, is he going to bash? And they may try to dodge and avoid it. Now the nice thing is, if you dodge at the right timing and they miss their bash, you can guard break them, which is useful. However, the timing has to be right, because there are some moments where you think you got the timing right, but then Lawbringer just counters a guard break, and it's super, super annoying. The only move that does not grant you a free bash after it is the zone. You can throw a zone, but after you throw the zone, you cannot do a bash. So you do need to keep that in mind. Like, it's something I had to learn, because I didn't know that either, so I had to figure that out myself. Now, that is an important facet to Lawbringer's move. He is a bash character, and that's probably one of the reasons a lot of people think he's boring now, because he's just bash the character. Light, bash, light, heavy, bash, light, and then just keep going as long as you have the stamina to do it. It can be very, very annoying and very, very frustrating to fight a Lawbringer who just does that unendingly, and trust me, I get it. Now, the next thing you need to know about Lawbringer is, of course, this popular little move. It's called the long arm attack. It is very hard to land, but it does grant a free heavy when you throw it. Now, here's why it's so hard to land. See how slow this is? A smart opponent is going to be able to dodge that really quickly. See what I mean? And if you miss, they can get a very easy dodge attack, and well, you get the point. So what I like to do to make sure that I land this is I build up an attack and wait for them to dodge or try to dodge it. So if I throw a heavy, my brother's going to try to dodge. So what I can do is throw, but the long arm tracks him. So throw. It's a great way to catch the opponent if they try to do that. It costs more stamina, granted, and it would probably just be easier to pretend like you're going to throw it but then catch them with a guard break. But if you want to be the memer... Oh, he dodged too late. There we go. If you want to be the memer and try to catch him with that, that is the way to do it. So that is something to keep in mind that you can do with the Lawbringer. So, with all that in mind, maybe now you can understand why Lawbringer is just such a beast. He has a really powerful combo set that implies both hyper armor and unblockables. He can get a lot of damage off of his guard break, a free heavy from either side. However, he can't get it from the top. My brother can block if I throw it from the top. Demonstrate. See? So you got to make sure that you always throw your heavies from the side. Otherwise, you're just going to be very much embarrassed. So that is pretty much how you play the Lawbringer. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll admit, I'm not the best Lawbringer player, but I'm learning. And now that we've done that, I guess it's time to wrap things up. And that about wraps everything up. I want to say this, Lawbringer is one of my favorite characters in the game. Not just because of how he plays, but because he carries one of my favorite historical weapons. He has some of the best armor in the game. His overall presence is absolutely awesome. His design is one of the best in the game. And honestly, even when he was bad, even when he was at his worst state, I enjoyed playing him just because he was such a unique hero. Did I lose a lot with him? Yes. Was I at all good with him? No. Am I better with him now? Debatable. But I do love Lawbringer. He is a great character. So, yeah, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.